From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a huge afternoon as a series of checks, of forced stimulus checks, massive checks, over $100,000 for every individual have landed in every U.S. state. And in this recording, we're going to go over these incredible checks that landed back in the month of March and still paying out. They came from the President of the United States. They came from Congress. They don't come from your states. They're huge. Over $100,000 on average for viewers of this channel. How do you get these incredible checks? You go under this video right now and you subscribe. You become a member and you stay with me over this 1 hour special recording from Santa Monica, California from July 1, 2022. We go over these incredible checks. But guess what? In a major-breaking developing detail, there are more checks coming thereafter. What are those checks? Breaking news today about more checks and where they're coming from. You're gonna be speechless. Go onto this video, become a member, and then get those incredible checks now in the membership newsletter across every U.S. state. We have breaking news on so many other fronts, as well as this economy is trying to bounce back, but it's not, as the recession is potentially already underway. The latest comments from the Federal Reserve GDP Now gauge that actually is indicating we may be in recession already today for July 1. This is not good news. That means that financial cliff we have been talking about may have already started. That's why you got to get a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. We go over also what the International Federal Reserve, the Eurozone, is doing with those interest rates as they're worried about their recession. Remember, if they go into recession first, they could draw us down across the land. The markets are relatively flat today before the 4th of July weekend, in which I will be recording all weekend long. But Bitcoin and Ethereum are holding those resistance levels after they fell to massive lows. We'll be looking at what's going on the labor front. We'll be looking at what's going on the corporate earnings. And of course, what's going on with this economy. That's why you have to become a member. And in today's recording, we're going to go over another surprise. There's a vote. There's a vote. There's a vote on the Build Back Better Act coming on. Oh my goodness, what's going on? It's a big, bold, beautiful day. It's a big, bold afternoon. And the excitement starts right here as America's most loved show at the midday kicks up its feet. And good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day for a gorgeous July 1, 2022. We start the second half of the year, the third quarter of this economy, and also potentially the second stage of a recession. The breaking news as one major economist and economic research group says the recession in the United States is already underway today. This is not good news because I said the financial cliff is coming in September. What's going on? The very concerning news coming out of the Atlanta Fed's GDP Now gauge, which is a live gauge, says that because of a gas prices staying high, the CPI staying high, the Federal Reserve raising rates, we may already be in recession. I have the breaking news on that front as well. Plus, we'll be going over those big checks in every U.S. state for you to get. They're coming up in the second half of this recording. You need to get them, because we're going into a financial cliff. You're going to survive it, but Americans who have not heard about the financial cliff, have not prepared their family accordingly, are not going to survive it. Step 1, go into this video, become a member. Step 2, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday that now has new added benefits for members, including those new worksheets about stimulus. And then get that forced stimulus check now in every U.S. state. It's coming up in the second half of this video. But boy, folks, we have a huge day with a lot of major news on so many fronts. And I didn't even tease what happened with Joe Biden and gasoline comments yesterday. I'll leave that for the end because I always start sweating if I go into that point because it just makes me very angry. Let's go to the recessionary numbers that came in this morning. The Atlanta Fed's GDP Now gauge now says that the second quarter of the United States, which just ended yesterday, 2 days ago, no, yesterday, June 30th, ran at a negative 1% GDP growth. And that, based upon their analysis, we're already in recession. What? What? Wait a second. Put down the coffee. I'm not ready for recession. Recession, LALATE said, is next year. How can we even be in recession? And it's only July. Let me explain what's going on. And you're going to hear this a lot as the year goes on. The term recession is an economic defined term, which means 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. It just has to be minus 1%, minus 0.1%, anything less than zero. So the first quarter this year was negative GDP growth. The second quarter just ended, and the data is still waiting to come in, but one data point that does it on a live basis called the Atlanta Fed's GDP Now, which is a wonderful tracker, has a long track record of being accurate, says that the first quarter was negative 1.6%, and the second quarter, which just ended yesterday, was negative 1%. That qualifies then as a defined recession. Whoa, this is a shocker. Let's see their comments. The GDP Now has a strong track record, and we get to July 28th's release of the more accurate number. It becomes more apparent, says Nicholas Colas, co-founder of DataTrex Research. So we're waiting for July 28th for the official GDP number. But based upon live data that they run, and they've been doing this for a long time, since 2011, and they have almost no error. Its average error has been less than 0.3 of a point. So they're almost right on the money. And from 2011 to 2019, their error has been zero. So they've gotten it right for nearly a decade. They say that the GDP for the quarter we just ended was negative 1%. And after following the first quarter of negative 1.9%, that would technically qualify for a recession. Folks, have you become a member? Go into this video right now and become a member. You need those stimulus checks right this moment. I mean, this is very scary. This is very, very scary. I always told you, I don't know exactly when that financial cliff is coming. And I always said, I think it's September. And I always said that recession is next year. But boy, folks, this is very scary. You know how scary this is? Let's take a step back. This is just July 1. In February this year, I was the only financial broadcaster in America reporting that we're going to have a recession in this economy. No one was even mentioning a recession. They weren't even talking about when it would happen, let alone what it would be. I was the only broadcaster in February. I predicted it's January next year. Then the first bank was Deutsche Bank in April, saying a recession was coming. For months went on, bank after bank refused to use the R word. They just refused to use it. Now it's the part of the landscape in American culture. Now everyone understands the word recession. But here comes the tug of war. That the terminology is really problematic. The National Bureau of Economic Research that says that 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth is not necessarily a recession. However, since World War II, there has never been an instance in when it was not a recession. So what they say is that 2 negative GDP growth quarters, which we just ended, if that report today is correct, does not necessarily qualify as a defined recession, but it's always been that case. Translation. Let's just hope this report is guidance for us to get our act together very quickly. Because if that's right on point, then we have to hurry right away. Remember, the true number will come out July 28th. This is just July 1. This is why you stay with me, because I give you guidance way before it happens. In this case, we have at least 28 days before we have confirmation of a full-on recession. Now imagine if you wake up July 28th and then we have the official number released and they say, hi, we're in a recession. And then everyone looks at each other and says, recession? When did we get into a recession? When did that happen? Oh, LA's been talking about this since February. And in July 1, he warned you for July 28th, it could be an official announcement. You got to know these things ahead of time, folks. You got to know these things ahead of time because you know what happens on July 28th. If it's a defined recession and an American says it's a recession, you know what's going to happen. Every sister, brother, uncle, and nephew is going to be looking for that stimulus check. They're going to be looking for that stimulus check like pandemonium. It's going to be like toilet paper apocalypse 2022. People are just going to be rushing left and right because that is a panic mode. If you hear there's a recession confirmed in the U.S. economy, you will absolutely be rushing left and right to grab every pot of money you can grab. As I put a beautiful sea of surf behind me. What did I do? I'm panicking. I'm panicking. I'm messing up the graphic. There I am. I'm gone, and I'm here. I'm back again. How are you? Yeah, panic. So you need to get a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Thank goodness that back in the month of March, my viewers so smart. They said you get money when money times are not that bad. You get the money when when your back is not against the wall. And I got it. And we're going to go over those checks in just a second. Forced stimulus check is in every U.S. state. Let's go over what those checks are broadly first right now. The federal government has delineated these checks. The federal government has paid for these checks. The federal government is funding these checks. The federal government made this law. These forced stimulus checks came by executive order from Joseph Biden. So they're from the executive branch, from the presidency. They're not from Congress. They do not need an act of Congress. They do not need a congressional vote. They came from the president. The checks are in every U.S. state, but they're not paid for by the states. They're not funded by the states. They're not determined by the states. So if you hate your governor, if you dislike your state, you hate your state legislature, don't worry, because they have nothing to do about these checks. They may ultimately run part of the website to receive your application, and may ultimately maybe mail you the check, but they are not part of the determining factor. They did not pass it. It's not their money. They have nothing to say about it. They're at best like the postal office for the check. And in the second half of this video, we're going to go over these incredible checks. Single individual, 75,000 less, and go get them. Married couple, 150,000 less, go get them. If you rent, if you own, if you have benefits like SSI or SSDI, if you're young, if you old, if you have children, if you don't have children, go get them. They're in every U.S. state. They average $100,000 over a series of clusters of checks, A, B, and C, and we're going to learn about them in just a second. And how do you get them? You stay with me over the second half of this video. It requires learning to earning, and you need to learn about what they are and pounce to get what they are. They are not landing in your bank account automatically unless you do something for them, because there's so much money. They're wonderful. How do you do this? Step one, go under this video right this second. Become a member. Second, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. And then pounce and get those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state, close to $100,000, or averaging over $100,000 across the board. Let's go back to that economic data released today, because you saw yesterday. Yesterday was a bonanza of economic data. Oh my goodness. If you did not see yesterday, you'll see it tonight. I think it's on evening's countdown. Oh my God. The June 30th recording was jam-packed with economic news. But here is another concern. Will this be a full-fledged recession? Will it be very severe, or will it be sort of weak? Will it be quick in, quick out? Sort of like your last relationship. Well, Jeremy Siegel, that wonderful Wharton School of Business professor, who he and I were the only two guys that ever talked about inflation being 8% and higher. Remember, Jay Powell had inflation at 4% last year and temporary. I said, no, 8% in December. I got it right. Jeremy Siegel had it close to 20%. So we're the only two people who ever got that inflationary projection right in 2021. What does he say today? He says, we're not going to have a severe recession, the Wharton School professor says. Jay Powell was discussing the situation yesterday. He says, we're fully understand and appreciate the pain people are going through to dealing with higher inflation, and we have the tools to address it and to resolve to use them, and we're likely committed and will succeed in getting inflation down to 2%. The process is highly likely to involve some pain, but the worst pain will be failing to address the high inflation that's allowing to be persistent. Is it getting inflation down to 2%? No, it's getting down to 4%. We've covered that a lot on this channel. Now, what are these stages? If you're new to this channel, let me explain what's going on, and let me explain what you're watching. You're watching LA, the number 3 most watched financial news channel, America, heading to number 2 with a whole new look coming to this channel in less than 90 days. I go over where this economy is, where it's going, and also where your money is. I get you the money. Why is it important to know where the economy is and where it's going? Because the economy is changing very quickly. This is what's going to happen when the financial cliff hits. First, what is a financial cliff? Financial cliff is a change from the present to something much more severe that surprises people that don't know about it. It's exactly what you think about. You're walking along on a path and suddenly you're falling off the side of a hill. A cliff? Yes, you did not see the cliff coming. In the case of a financial cliff, it means you thought that your money was stable in the environment in which it was, and it was not, and you fell off the cliff. What would a financial cliff look like for this economy later this year? It would start with a series of very, very catastrophic events or basic domino type events. First, massive unemployment. Second, corporate earnings slagging. Number three, slowing up of the economy. And it could manifest itself in a lot of ways. The way it could hurt you financially if you work is the following. Your employer, your corporation, your business does not do that well. It either closes down or it's cutting back to trim costs. So it lays you off. You get laid off and then you look next door for another job. There is no job next door because unemployment is surging. How do we know that? We had the data from yesterday. The data from yesterday showed that the unemployment numbers in the United States continue to remain relatively high. And I've been gauging this for a while. And yesterday we talked about on this channel that it looks like that potentially that the unemployment number, if it upswings even more, will be the first indication that the financial cliff has arrived. What number are we looking for? We're looking for about anything higher than 230,000. 3 weeks ago, I said the new jobless claims in the United States will likely come in at 230,000, up from 200,000. I got it right. It was 229,000. Then the week after that, I said again, 230. It came in at 227, but they revised it to 232. What happened yesterday? 231. Right on the money. 3 weeks in a row, I have it. If this unemployment number shoots up to, let's say, 240, 250, 260, it's going to spook the markets. It's going to spook this economy. And the layoffs are going to continue in broad stroke. Have there been layoffs? Yes. We have layoffs, then we have hiring freezes, and then we have store closures. So far, we're only at the second prong of that. The layoffs, like Tesla, 10% of their employees laid off. Coinbase, 18%. Tesla coming back days later, shutting down the Silicon Valley location, shutting down 200 more employees left and right. And then Netflix, days ago, laying off 300 employees as they're likely to lay off more employees. Its stock is down 75% since November of last year. Ouch. So what happens with that financial cliff is that Americans who thought they were fine in a job suddenly don't have a job. Now, let's say you don't work. Let's say you're a retiree. What does it mean for you? Same problem. Suddenly, inflation may likely not to go down, and your debt costs go up, and your cost of living goes up, and then suddenly things just not coming together. Here's what's at issue, is that all the wonderful stimulus of 2020 is gone, and that financial cliff would surprise Americans by them not realizing the elements are gone. If you need assistance on rent, if you're about to be evicted because of rent, there's no rent eviction moratorium anymore. It's gone. If you're about to be foreclosed upon for mortgage for foreclosure because of non-payment of the mortgage, you'll lose your home. There's no mortgage forbearance. If you can have the utilities turned off because you cannot pay the heating oil, the electric bill, which is through the roof later this year, it's going to get turned off. And it continues across the board. PUA, FPUC, UI, EEU, PUC, all those unemployment stimuluses of 2020, gone. All the small business assistance of 2020, like like EIDL loan, EIDL grant, and PPP, all gone. That's why you have to get these 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state. Those 4 stimulus checks are there right now. They're huge, over $100,000 on average for viewers of this channel. But here is the other element at issue and the other breaking news we're looking at today, and that comes in from Europe. Europe, remember, is a relationship that is impacting our economy. We're symbiotic economies where their downward spiral could send us into downward spiral. For every time they do something wrong, we're impacted by it as well. What's the breaking news on that front? Eurozone inflation reached a new high in the month of June. We learned today this is the European economy. And now the European Central Bank is reporting that they will raise rates for the first time in 11 years. Headline inflation in Europe, folks, is now 8.6% year to date. This is not good. That's higher. That's a beat. over what was predicted at 8.4%. It's really bad, and that is likely to be where we're tracking right now. They're likely to be going higher because they have not dealt accordingly with this as well. France and Spain are now believed to have surpassed 10% inflation in their economies right now. That's the first time since 1985. Did you hear me right? Yes. Two of the countries we do business with on a regular basis are now over 10% inflation. You think our 8% in the United States is bad? That's really bad. The head of the ECB, the European Central Bank, says it's a major problem. If inflation does not improve, we have sufficient information to move faster, says Christine Lagarde, in comments obtained by LATE News today from Sintra, Portugal. The projection is that the Eurozone will go into recession and at least a contraction of 0.8% by the start of next year. That's basically zero. But is it a recession or not? I believe it already is a recession. What does Lagarde, the central bank head, say? We're still expecting positive growth due to the domestic buffers against the loss of growth momentum. Whoa. So much else going on today. And the other things going on today are two major developing details out of the White House. The first one is gasoline. The second one is a surprise. Coming up in 1 second. The gasoline from the White House. Oh boy. The President of the United States appeared in a conference for NATO in Spain yesterday and addressed the situation of gasoline. And then his domestic counterpart from his economic council, Brian Deasy, my favorite, appeared on broadcast news, and the narrative from the White House was that you need to endure sustained higher price of gasoline because it's Putin's fault, it's Putin's fault, it's Putin's fault. I really wanted to do some face pulling. We heard that expression yesterday, face pulling or face grabbing. I wanted to just grab my face because I was so angry when I heard that. It's so untrue. It's a half of a story. The White House seems to believe that they can tell you half a story or tell you false facts when it comes to gasoline economics and that you will buy it. And I don't think the American people are buying it, folks. Let me tell you what's the true facts of the situation. There is a shortage of gasoline every day, 3.5 million barrels of gasoline. Why? Because we and the Western Allies embargoed gasoline coming from Russia. It's 3.5 million barrels of gasoline missing internationally, not just our gasoline. It's also 3.5 because OPEC Plus, one of the major producers of gasoline, reduced production as soon as Putin invaded Ukraine. What happens when gasoline's missing? You need to go get the gasoline. You need to go buy the gasoline. Where do the Western Allies go buy the gasoline from? 5 countries: Venezuela, Brazil, OPEC Plus, Saudi Arabia, which is part of OPEC Plus, and also Iran. What do? They go and buy the oil. Why would we not jump at that opportunity? Because several of those countries have been embargoed by the United States for many years. Venezuela, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, and of course, Iran, for different reasons. In the case of Iran, it's nuclear warheads. So if you do not go out and buy the gasoline, what happens? You have a shortage of gasoline goes up. Now, that is the narrative the White House doesn't tell you. It just tells you the price of gasoline is going up because of Putin. They don't tell you the second half of the sentence. The reason why the price of gasoline remains high is because the Western Allies have not gone out and gotten the gasoline replaced. They have the opportunity, they have the funds, they can go get it. There is the opportunity to go get the gasoline replaced, and we're done. We're solved. So why do the Western Allies not particularly do this? Well, first, there's a human rights issue. They don't want to go get it from these particular countries. So instead, your economic rights are less important than the human rights violations of the other countries. Number 2, they believe, I guess, that they can give you a narrative and that you're going to digest it and agree with it. And Americans are not, because it's really a false narrative. False narrative number 1. The reason why gasoline prices remain high is because reduced production in the United States. That's not the reason. The United States does not have 3.5 million barrels of gasoline in the ground. Keystone Pipeline, Trump administration, ramping up gasoline, ExxonMobil, all these things are false narratives. There is nothing in the United States soil to produce 3.5 million barrels of gasoline. Yes, it'll produce some, but it won't produce 3.5 million. That's a lot. We don't have that many. Second narrative. Second narrative is that the price of gasoline remains high because of Putin. It doesn't remain high because of Putin. It went to that level and then will stay at that level until you replace it with the other gasoline. Who's to blame? Just the Western Allies leaders. They are Macron. They are Chancellor Scholz. They are Joe Biden. If they went and got the oil, then the situation would be solved. Number 4, that the price of gasoline should be endured by the American people at an elevated rate for a little bit more time, and then we'll be fine. Yeah, that's a little bit too optimistic for me. I tell you why. Because analysts believe that this war of Ukraine and Russia is going to go on for many, many years, not just many, many weeks. And that's basically saying the war is going to be over tomorrow and that the embargo will be lifted. If the embargo is in place for years to come, then there's going to be gasoline missing month after month, day after day for years to come. The takeaway is that this gasoline situation has not changed. And until it changes, with someone in the White House administration understanding the narrative and the economics are completely incorrect, as said by the President of the United States, then we have a big problem. And the problem is a recession. Let me tell you how misunderstanding gasoline is causing so much problems. If you continually misunderstand why gasoline is high in the administration and don't buy the gasoline, then the gasoline remains high. Then if the gasoline remains high, then the consumer price index number, the CPI, released once a month, remains high. What is that? That is a number that is composed of both gasoline prices and price of goods like supermarket goods. It's an inflationary number. If gas stays high, the inflation stays high. So basically, you don't buy gasoline, we have high inflation sustained. Nothing that Jay Powell will do will solve that situation. Moreover, if the Fed then sees the CPI high, the Fed will continue to raise rates. And the Fed will continue to raise rates and gasoline will remain to be high. The takeaway on the situation is that there is no solution. And the only solution is that someone in the White House administration just really gets to someone, whoever is behind the false narrative of the gasoline problem, to wake them up and realize this is not a correct economic analysis. And until you get the correct economic analysis, folks, you need to get that stimulus check. You need to get those stimulus checks in every U.S. state. Thank goodness they're there. In the big second half, we're going to go over those 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state. Here's what you need to know, and here comes the breaking surprise news. A 4th stimulus check is in every U.S. state today. For you, for all of you, you generally all qualify. It's a lot of money. It's over $100,000. You cannot wait to get the money today. Why? Because the financial cliff is coming in September. Number 2, you wait to get the money. You're not preparing yourself for the financial cliff. You're going to be in big trouble come September. Number 3, it's an enormous sum of money. There's nothing else out there in the landscape that pays you this massive sums of money. And number 4, it's there now, and it will not be there indefinitely. Now, if I've hopefully made that very clear to you and made it very tough, a lot of tough love in that statement, hopefully then I can also now tell you about another new check or checks. What are the new checks? The Build Back Better Act is back. My goodness, it's just like a bad revival. The Build Back Better has been built. It is back. Is it better? Yeah. Is it being acted upon? Well, my goodness, here we go. Now, you know why I led the way I led in the introduction to the Build Back Better Act right there. Because I do not want any of you to turn into Donut Guy. I don't want you to say, I'm not going to go get those $100,000. I'm just going to wait for the $1 that's in the Build Back Better Act that'll land, 5 years from now. I don't want you to do that. Don't want you to do that. So I'm going to repeat it again. You're not going to wait around and not get this $100,000 approximately in every U.S. state today because you heard about Build Back Better Act. First, Build Back Better Act is not more money. It's substantially less money. Number 2, it's not money today. Number 3, it will not land before the financial cliff hits. Number 4, you'll be in big financial trouble if you wait for Build Back Better Act. Okay, now that I've done that, let's have some fun. The Build Back Better Act is back. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Everyone's doing a little victory dance in the corner only to realize there's no dollar bills falling from this one yet. The Build Back Better Act is back to life. The Build Back Better Act is reportedly going to vote before the August recess. Pause, internal laugh. My goodness. What is going on with this? Are we going to see MSCs? Is the Build Back Better Act really going to pay us? When is this happening? When is the vote? What's going on, LA? LA, you're killing me here. It's killing me as well. I actually had to triple read it. And then I said, okay, wait a second. I got to deliver this in a way that is sensible, that is logical, that is worthy of a pair dance. We'll be back in 60 seconds with all those incredible news. But first, become a member during the commercial break. The membership is important because we're going to go over these incredible forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state that are there now. That non-Build Back Better Act checks, those wonderful over $100,000 of checks, you're going to get them today. And we're going to go over all those incredible sums of money in the second half of this recording. What do? You go into this video, become a member. You get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you stay to the second half as we go over these forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state, over $10,000, over $100,000 of checks for you in every U.S. state. We're going to go over all those incredible details in the second half. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as America's Most Loved Show at the midday continues. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And it continues right now in a big, bold, beautiful second half of July 1, 2022. You made it to the second half of the year. And with that second half of the year, oh my goodness, all the revivals are back underway. You know, they're bringing back The Hills. They're bringing back some of those great old reality TV shows. And they're bringing back the Build Back Better Act. Oh my goodness. We're going to be going over all of this in the big second half. But first, we're going to get those forced stimulus checks that are available today. We're not here to just track Congress and their nonsense. We're here to get big sums of money. We're going to get them right now. Forced stimulus check is in every U.S. state. What do you do? You become a member. Hopefully you did that during the commercial break. Go right in this video, join the channel, then subscribe, then pull out your notes. If you're already a member, pull out your worksheets and take notes with me starting right now. These checks are in every U.S. state. They are forced stimulus checks. They came from the presidency, from the executive branch, from the White House. They did not come from Congress. They do not need an active vote. They are written by federal government funds. They are underwritten by federal government funds, and they come from the federal government. They are not funded or made law by the states. Now, the states may actually send you the check or mail you the check, but has nothing to do with your governor, has nothing to do with your state legislator, has nothing to do with your state representatives. They had nothing to do with these checks. They came from the federal government. This is federal stimulus. That's why it's in every U.S. state. It is a federal law. It is not a state law. And these checks are enormous. Over $100,000 an individual. Eligibility is brilliant. As Kat says, longtime viewer, you do eligibility really well. Single individual, $75,000 less, you go get them. Married couple, $150,000 less, you go get them. If you rent, if you own, if you have children, if you don't have children. If you're on benefits like SSI or SSDI, you go get them. Why? Because the financial cliff is coming. Why? Because the money's not going to be around much longer. And why? Because there's going to be a stimulus stampede as millions of Americans are going to look for money as the economy falls apart very, very quickly. And the Build Back Better Act will not have paid you any money by the time the financial cliff comes. And so with that, let's go over these incredible checks right now. I found them and I gave them a lettering system. The lettering system starts with the letter A and continues to B, because you know B is after A. Let's go over these incredible checks, starting with the very first check. The very first check is a $6,500 to $12,000 for stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, $75,000. Let's go get them. Married couple, $150,000. Let's go get them. If you are on benefits, SSI or SSDI, go get them. How do you get them? Step one, go under the video. Hit the join the channel button. See that join the channel button? Yeah, there it is. You push it and become a member. Then open that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. Go down to the membership newsletter till you find it, check A. In the membership newsletter, I provide you the link. You go right in and you click the link. You go into the nationwide website. You choose your state. You choose the homeowner's weatherizing grant and you pounce and you get that money. $6,500 to $12,000. You're not done there yet. You're then going to go get check B. Look at this money, $15,000 to $80,000. So it's a four stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. If you are on benefits, go get it. This incredible check B is very easy to get. How do you do it? You go right into the membership newsletter, you go down to check B, you click the link, you go right into the nationwide website, you choose your state, and you pounce and you go get that incredible check B, which is tracking at about $66,000 to $80,000. Let's recap so far what we've done. $80,000 here, $12,000 there. Folks, we're already at $100,000 and we're just getting started. You're going to go get check C as well, which is also for my renters. It is $2,000 a month, monthly MSC on average, baby. Wow, this is incredible. The checks are just wonderful, and viewers have tracked about $45,000. Many viewers have gotten over $200,000, and these checks predate third stimulus, then became ballooned up and more in third stimulus. But they're perhaps the most important checks you're going to see of 2022. Why? Because they provide the assistance for the subject matters you're going to need assistance for, because those subject matters no longer have any other type of assistance. What's going on? If you have a landlord who wants to evict you, he can, because there is no eviction moratorium. You need check C. That's for rent assistance. If you have a bank that wants to foreclose on your home, you need to go get check C. There is no mortgage forbearance anymore. If you have an employer who's going to lay you off and you have no extra weeks of benefits, there's no PUC, or you're an independent contractor, there's no PUA, there's certainly no FPUC, you get this money as well. And if you have an electric bill, a heating oil bill, a gas bill, God forbid, and it's through the roof, it's 300% up because the shortage of gasoline, you get these utility bills as well. How do you do it? You go right down on the membership newsletter. You first go into this video and you become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Join the channel right now under the video. Then get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. When you get that incredible newsletter, you go right down to check C. It tells you where to call, who to call, and what to say. The incredible success stories of check C's date back to December 2020 on this channel. We've been doing check C's before it was even third stimulus, but in third stimulus it became even law and a lot more money. Let's look at the success stories that viewers have gotten for check C and what should inspire you as well. Do you want $30,000 for your rent paid? Then go get check C. Look at these numbers. Nisi from $20,000 all the way up to Elizabeth. Do you want $15,000 for your utilities paid? Go get check C. From Angela all the way up to Mark's brother-in-law who got $15,000. Do you want $25,000 a year for SNAP? Well, that's what Mark's brother-in-law is getting for over 10 years, $250,000. And how about a combination of checks? Yes, there's multiple check C's. Here's Nisi at $23,000. There's Mark at $32,000. Nisi has gone from $23,000 to $50,000. Mark has gone from $32,000 to 166,000 because he went to 50,000, then to 100, then got check B at 160 at 66. Here's Lorraine. She's gone from 105 to 150. Lorraine, Nisi, Margaret, Johnny, Mark, keep on getting checks on a regular basis. Let's recap what you got to do. Step one, go into this video, subscribe. This is LALATE, America's #3 most watched financial news channel. America heading to #2 with a whole new surprise come to you in less than 90 days. A brand new look and a brand new shocker of a delivery. #2, you go to the front of this channel, there's a little bell. Hit that bell so all notifications are set to all on. #3, become a member. What are you waiting for? You need these checks today. You have financial pressures today, but you're going to have monstrous financial pressures if that financial cliff hits and you have not gotten stimulus. You have to get the money today before the situation gets really bad and before you're competing against all those other people who are suffering the same situation as well. You need to get the money today. Go into this video, hit the join the channel button. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Become a member today. Meantime, I got an alert. I haven't even looked at it. I'll look at it perhaps by evenings LA. There's a new feature featured on this channel. It just got rolled out across the whole platform where people can gift membership, can give the donation of a membership to someone else as a new feature on YT. So I will look at that. If you see it before I do, then maybe you'll find it. Yes, you can gift a membership to someone else as sort of a nice, 4th of July weekend gift to someone you love. And then go into that incredible newsletter and go down and get those incredible checks. How do you get that newsletter? The newsletter is delivered Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via YouTube alerts to you. First, the alerts. You'll get an alert throughout the day of things happening, videos and news, but the 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, alert from YouTube is about the newsletter. The alert will say new LALATE post. The first line will say LALATE newsletter. Then you go down in the alert, and then the last line says click here to go to the post. You go right in and go to the post. Remember that you need to stay signed into YouTube when you're using everything for YouTube. So if your phone signs you out and doesn't keep you signed in, remember to keep your phone signed in. Also, remember to keep in track of the time zone you're in. This is 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's delivered. The newsletter also now features the brand new benefits for members, the talk of the town, the wonderful worksheets. The worksheets are a wonderful, wonderful add-on that rolled out just a few days ago. It's a PDF. It's this third line, fourth line of the newsletter. And you click it, and it opens the PDF for you to print out or for you to look on your phone if you don't have a printer. And it has a series of pages to help you navigate through all this information. Page 1 has 4 subject matters for you to take notes on: inflation, recession, labor, and the Federal Reserve. The subject matters we cover on this channel daily. Page 2 is one of the most popular pages. It is a wonderful table that features all the elements of forced stimulus for you to take notes on. It has on the first column, check A, B, and C, for example. The second column says when you applied, so you take notes, when did you apply? Third, that talks about what days you get approved, what months are you paid for. It's important to keep track of what months because you're going to go back and get other months paid for as well. It's also really important to keep note of how much it was and notes of the contact. Who was the person you spoke to? Because that contact is very important. There's a page in there for you to keep track of your raise of your benefits if you're on SSI and SSDI. That's coming up later tonight on Evenings LA. There's a great page to keep track on the gas prices. And finally, the student loan debt forgiveness. $10,000 of student loan debt will be forgiven by the president, my prediction, before the recess of Congress in late August. I'll have more about those $10,000 of student loan debt forgiveness tonight on Evenings. And with that, let's go to the major shocker that came out of nowhere. And now that you understand the importance of getting money right now, you understand that there's $100,000 of stimulus checks in every U.S. state today. You're not going to wait to get the money. This is money from the federal government. We're going to turn to another branch of the government, which is Congress. These are different checks, and these are from Congress. And with that, can we roll the drums? Can we have the clarinet signal the entrance? The entrance, because the Build Back Better Act is back, baby. Ah, boy. Okay, now let's there's a lot of ways to cover this reporting at this point. First, I can go over the voting. Second, I can go over the contents of the act. Third, I can go over the negotiations. Let me first start with the act. The Build Back Better Act has been featured on this channel since day one. I was the first person to record it. I was the first person to call it for stimulus. I coined the expression. The Build Back Better Act and its contents has been featured extensively on the channel. I'm going to broadly go over it right now, but I want to start with this. I want to make this very clear to you. We don't know what version of the Build Back Better Act this is. We do know that this has been changed. We do know it is not the original Build Back Better Act. It's a new version. New and improved or new and reduced? Better or worse? Is it the Build Back Better or Build Back Worse Act? I don't know. I really don't know. So that's the first thing. Second, there's some people who I guess have selective amnesia who want to remember that the Build Back Better Act had a free Bentley in there. There was a free Rolls Royce in there, a free Maybach. There was beautiful steaks for a lifetime in there. And there was Gucci watches in there. Some people have the worst memory of this act. And they literally think that there was this massive payday for you. There was $15,000 to $80,000 of checks in the Build Back Better Act. And that even those checks required you to do something to get them. And somewhere along the line, some people forgot those words. When they think about Build Back Better Act, many people think about the effort of Congress to put in an MSC in there. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. 6 months, not 12 months. $7,500. Let's say that again. $7,500. Not $75,000. $7,500. Now remember, I just got you $100,000. Do you want $100,000 or you want $7,000? Obviously, you want 100,000. So, Bill MSC, nice. What I want you to do is I want you to want everything. I want you to want everything. I don't want you to want one thing and not another thing. The other provisions, will they survive? I don't know. Let's recap broadly really quickly. Hazard pay, it would likely survive. The CTC, I don't know. Paid leave, I think it's gone. I think it's never going to survive. The home repairs, I believe it's going to survive. The other provisions, the first package, yes. The third cluster, we do know that there's a deal on prescription medication. And then what about those respective add-ons? The respective add-ons, we have no update about the $250 billion for free home health care. We have no update about the $25,000 for purchase of a first home. So what can I say about the contents of the Build Back Better Act? I could make the recording a lot of ways, but I want to make it the way that I think it's most apparent. Most apparent, it's a different bill in a different year. So if you hear someone tell you, oh, there's going to be, beautiful croissants, jalapeno croissants in there. I love that. Jalapeno croissants in there and chili rellenos in there for a lifetime. Oh, yeah. Do I see that? No, I don't see that happening. It's a different Build Back Better Act. So what's going to survive in there? We don't know. They're not telling us. And I want you to presume it's not as good as it was before. I want you to presume it's not as good as it was before. How good it is, we really don't know. Okay, now that we go into the contents, let's talk about the vote. I just want to laugh. Chuck Schumer believes that the vote will get done before the August recess. Can I just run my voice from the last 2 years every time they said that? Every time that Chuck Schumer has been met with a reporter in the month of June, he says, I believe we're going to pass whatever bill it is before the August recess. How many times have they said this to us? Is it believable? Well, let's recap. In 2020, Nancy Pelosi was approached by the problem solvers, the Blue Dog Democrats, the moderates, and everyone else to do a unemployment extension of FPUC retro before it expired. They didn't, and FPUC. It expired. She didn't get it done, and FPUC disappeared, and people lost $12,000. So, and at the time, she said the vote would happen before July. So, track record number 1, 0 for 1. In 2021, Chuck Schumer said that the call for the vote on the Build Back Better Act would happen before the midterm elections, must happen before the midterm elections, will happen before, it's not the midterm elections, July, will happen before the August recess, absolutely will happen. Did it happen? No. So 0 for 2. They said a vote before the August reset in 2020. They said the same thing in 2021, and now they're saying the same thing in 2022. What is my opinion of the situation? I really don't know. I think that they have to say they're going to do something. Whether they deliver is another situation. I think as the party in control, they have to say they're going to do something, even if it may not happen. Let's go over the notion of what's going on now. There is good news. There is good news. The good news is that negotiations we now know have continued on a regular basis between Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin. That's number one. We had talked about this several months ago that they were negotiating, but we did not know how often. There is indication now that they have been negotiating for a very long time and on a regular basis. The second part of the equation is that there is a reported deal that was reached by the Four Corners. Remember the Four Corners? We had the Four Corners on this channel in 2020. These are the majority leader, majority leader, and the Speaker of the House, the majority leader of the Senate, and its majority whip. I think I got that right. The four of them met just days ago, and they reportedly had a deal. Okay, yeah, it's looking sort of good. Finally, there's reportedly a major deal with Joe Manchin on prescription medication. All right, let me talk first about everything that is incorrect. Everything that's incorrect. Number one, you're going to see ridiculous people run Joe Manchin quotes from 2021 and 2022 and, February this year. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's all false news. False news, faux news, Fox News, all same thing. Joe Manchin, once to get the Build Back Better Act, has been in negotiations to get it done. That is the true news. So don't send me a news clipping you found from an article, 3 months ago. It's wrong, and I don't want to hear about it. Number two, I don't want to hear about Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell's doing the same thing he always says. He is not part of the reconciliation. If you're new to this channel, let me tell you what this bill is. The fourth stimulus recon is a reconciliation bill. It requires no Republican votes. So every Republican can come out and say how horrible it is, how they're going to vote against it. They're not expected to vote in favor. We don't need a Republican. Congress, the Democrats don't need a Republican vote. It's a reconciliation bill. So what is Mitch McConnell doing? He's saying, I'm not going to vote in favor of it. Do I care, Mitch? Come on. I mean, we've been doing this for a couple of years now. We know we don't need your vote. Let me make perfectly clear. There will be no bipartisan support for the chips as long as the Democrats are pursuing a bipartisan reconciliation bill. Okay, what is that? This is new. This happened last night. There is a bipartisan bill underway to get semiconductor chips for cars and computers streamlined through the United States faster to alleviate supply chain disruption. It's impacting the auto industry. It's impacting the computer industry. And there's a bipartisan, meaning Republicans and Democrats agreed to do it. The Republican narrative today is that if you do the recon, we're going to not do the bipartisan deal. Blowing smoke, yeah, it's an old tactic. Here is some of the comments. First, this takes loyalty to special interests over working Americans to a new and shocking high level. We're not going to back down in the face of this outrageous threat to the White House. Oh boy, that's a great quote. Chuck Schumer says we are going not to protect our friends at Big Pharma by screwing over the American peoples with high prescription drug prices. This is Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's spokesperson, Justin Goodman, in a new comment obtained by LALATE News. What's going on? Chuck Schumer miraculously has gotten a deal with Joe Manchin. A deal with Joe Manchin on the prescription medication prices lower in the recon. That deal is confirmed by Manchin's team. Number four, there is a deal by the Four Corners, Majority Leader, Senate, House. That negotiation reportedly happened last week, and it's done. We don't know what they agreed to. Based upon the history of the Four Corners, because I featured them in 2020, they do the broad agreement, and then they go back and fill in the contents. The Four Corners did the CR for stimulus in 2020. So when there's a Four Corners agreement, it usually works. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, brand new quote today as well. There's no reason we should not pass this bill through Congress in July. Yeah, there is a reason. You didn't do it in 2021. You didn't do it in 2020. But there is no reason to get it not to get it done. There's just a history of you not getting things done in July. And there's an urgency the situation deserves. I think she just pulled that quote from the prior 2 years. Imminent, around the corner. You know her quotes. Here's Portman. Portman says, it makes it complicated. My eyes essential. This is something we need to get done quickly. Let's go to when. Chuck Schumer says the legislation could go to a vote for floor action as soon as late July. Oh, we got to wait another 30 days for this one. Okay. Reaction. Donald Byer, a Ways and Means a member from Virginia, said he's not worried about Mitch. This is a new Mitch McConnell's been stalling this bill for weeks. Now he's admitted to stalling it. It's classic obstruction, harming our economy, preventing job creations, yada, yada. McConnell's comment got support from Republicans in North Carolina. Couldn't surprise me at all. And then members of both parties want to get this bipartisan negotiation done for the chips because they have a lot of donors that are major corporations, and I'm not going to name them on camera, but those donors are both for Republicans and Democrats donors, and the rest of the world are waiting for us not to act, says Kevin McCarthy. Of course, he's the Republican out of the House. Takeaway, you know how we do it. You know how we do it. I got to look at you right on an eye for this. You get every stimulus check that's available today. You get every fourth stimulus check that's available today. Over $100,000 on average for every U.S. citizen, every U.S. state. Those four stimulus checks are detailed in the membership newsletter. You become a member. You go right in this video right now and become a member. You don't wait. Number two, I'll stay on point. I'll continue to coverage the update of the Build Back Better Act if it does get action, if it does get movement. If it is better, if it's worse, if it does have action or if it doesn't have action, I'll give you the updates. But you are going to promise me this. If I continue the coverage of the Build Back Better Act, you will also promise me you're not waiting around for Build Back Better Act. You're getting every check today by becoming a member. You're going under this video because if you don't, people who are doing the wrong thing are going to fall off the financial cliff. If you wait for the Build Back Better Act and say Nancy Pelosi promises it's going to get done by July, and when it doesn't get done by July, you're falling off the financial cliff. You're not going to do that with me. You're not going to do that with me. I have the net, and the net is this channel. The net is this family. The net is the Purple Bauer family. The net is those four stimulus checks in every U.S. state. You're not going to fall off the financial cliff. You're not going to be coerced or thought to wait around for money that's not happening just yet. Build Back Better Act will happen, but you need to get money right today. And that money is available today. We'll be going over more about it tonight in Evenings LALATE in prime time. It's at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But what do you need to do? Go right in this video and become a member. Get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and stay with me. Get those four stimulus checks in every U.S. state. And for the shores of Santa Monica, California, God bless. I'll see you tonight in prime time as a big show continues on LALATE.